Welcome to DigiKnow Podcast Episode 2, where today we are going to redefine TV. And speaking of redefining things, in the studio with us today is Greg Hartman, Senior Production Editor here at Chumney Associates. Greg, how you doing?
Hey, Paul, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Greg, let me ask you a question. Have you ever heard of Mark Wahlberg?
Once or twice.
Once or twice. Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch of Entourage, Fame and Fortune.
Yeah.
He's done a few things
Just
in his life. You don't look like him. You don't remind me of him.
That's unfortunate.
But I'm bringing Mark Wahlberg up for a reason. A couple of years ago, Mark Wahlberg did a commercial for AT&T Uverse. Okay? And in the commercial, he said, we need to redefine what the word television means. Television is no longer defined as that thing on the wall over there where you watch TV.
So much more than that.
It's so much more than that. What used to mean, television used to be actually defined as an actual physical thing. I think in today's world, it's been redefined. And we want to talk about that redefinition here. It now means however you want to view content, view video content, whether it's on an actual television, on a tablet, on a computer, on a mobile device. It's basically being able to view whatever programming you want, whatever content you want, whenever you want, however you want, wherever you want, on demand.
And we all do it already. And we already we've already lived through a little bit of the evolution of TV where I'm watching ESPN while I'm inside Disney World because I can't miss Saturday football, and that becomes a whole new opportunity for you to still stay relevant on TV, even though I'm not in my living room. So ESPN and traditional TV still has its reach, but instead of being stuck on the wall, like you said, now the TV is going wherever I am.
So why am I bringing this up? Well, I'm bringing this up because, look, we're in automotive advertising, right?
Yeah,
but this, again, is a topic that transcends verticals. I have clients that ask me all the time, I don't know if television is an effective form of advertising anymore. And the reason they ask that question, and quite frankly, I don't fault them for asking that question.
I wouldn't.
But the reason they're asking that question is because they are still applying an old school definition to the term TV. And they themselves also need to redefine what the word TV means. So basic advertising and marketing says you want your message to be where all of the eyes and ears are. When a dealer asks us today, when a client asks us today, I don't know if television is an effective form of advertising anymore. Well, it's because they have not redefined what the term TV now means.
Yeah, they need to get, and everybody, we're all guilty of this, where we all still fall into what TV used to be and not what TV has become. So it's just a great place for exposure for our dealers. And TV still isn't old, but it's just about re-examining something old with new eyes.
It's the DigiKnow Podcast, Episode 2, with Greg Hartman in the studio, where we are redefining TV. Let's take a moment real quick before we get into what you're alluding to with OTT.
Yeah.
And let's acknowledge our sponsor, Chumney & Associates. If you sell cars, we'll make your ads. Chumney & Associates, we make car ads. Be sure to subscribe to our DigiKnow Podcast on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, YouTube. In a couple of weeks, we're going to be on iHeart.
iHeart's going to be huge.
That's huge. Big announcement.
If you're on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe. Give us a like while you're at it. We're going to be producing new content at least a few times a month. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. Let us know that you're watching. We love your feedback, and we want to know what you have to think.
And be sure to also follow us on Twitter. At Chumney Ads is the handle, and at Paul M. Harvey 14. So we are redefining television today. Again, Mark Wahlberg, AT&T commercial 2 years ago said, TV no longer is defined as that thing on the wall over there. If we still believe, as advertising and marketing professionals, if we still believe that the golden rule is to put your message where the eyes and ears are, the question is television still an effective form to do that? The answer is yes, so long as you now know what the new definition of television is. So, yes, there is a market for live television consumption, which has been traditional TV, okay? Mm-hmm. But you have to go beyond that with on-demand programming, OTT programming through third-party online streaming services like Hulu and Amazon and
there's so much
Netflix
ad inventory
and others
out there like that, like you're saying, where you could be on Hulu and you could be in a space where you never thought you could be before something. They could be somewhere at any time when anyone's consuming the content.
Well, let's talk about that live sport event, right? So I have a client who historically has spent tens of thousands of dollars every year purchasing college football packages on cable. Fine. Well, now one of the things that we're doing is instead of spending tens of thousands of dollars for college football packages on cable and maybe getting one spot a game, okay?
Yeah.
Instead, we're spending a fraction of that amount of money, and we are running those spots during college football streaming on the Watch ESPN app, on the Fox Sports Network app, on the SEC college football app,
all great places.
et cetera. As an advertiser, why do I care if you as the consumer are choosing to stream that game through an app on your phone instead of watching it live on ESPN2?
You don't.
I shouldn't care.
You don't.
All I should care about is making sure that I'm getting my message in front of you wherever you are. As an advertiser, I should just be as equally willing to be there too, to reach you.
And I think, do you know, Paul, what percentage of people are viewing, say, through streaming versus live these days?
Well, it's funny you ask that question because at Chumney & Associates, we came out with an OTT product called Video Everywhere a couple of years ago.
I remember that.
Inspired by the Mark Wahlberg commercial I've now referenced for the third time. Okay,
Yeah, you love Marky Mark.
A stat in our presentation for our OTT program said that 39% of the television audience still consumes programming live. Now, I don't know if that stat is true or not.
Less than
I pulled
half,
it from a website somewhere. I would actually argue, Greg, when it comes to sports and news programming, it's probably higher than 39%.
It probably is.
People want news in real time. People want sports in real time.
You don't want to be left out.
They're not necessarily always available to sit down and watch programming live, but they want to be able to watch it when they are able. And that, again, is where on-demand and streaming services and things like that come into nature. And that is television. It's just television as defined in the 21st century.
Yeah, and I think you hit home to the point that while a lot of people are still consuming on traditional, at the end of the day, maybe it's 50-50 now versus who's streaming versus who's picking up their traditional media. If you're watching the news live or if you're watching it through a dedicated app.
Yeah, and we saw recently Netflix experimented with ads on their platform.
I didn't see this.
Yeah, Netflix experimented with ads on their platform, and their subscribers were irate and were going
I
crazy. They quickly
imagine.
shut it all down. But here's the point: Hulu allows advertising. Netflix is not there yet.
No.
YouTube TV, not YouTube. YouTube TV is not there yet. But hey, listen, eventually YouTube TV, eventually Netflix, eventually these platforms are going to allow advertising. It's just a matter of time. And so probably when that time comes, we're not going to be redefining TV all over again, but it's going the new definition of television is only going to continue to evolve and grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger as more and more streaming services allow advertising.
And I'm excited about that. I mean, from a marketing standpoint and from a video professional, right? It gives me a chance to put the ads I make in more unique and interesting places and design creative for a very specific destination. And also, I think our dealers appreciate that, seeing a slightly different version of creative on the OTT space versus your over-the-air space or traditional television.
Yeah, well, to that point, let's use Ford as an example, right? Mm-hmm. You might have your Ford clearance campaign be your TV spot that's running to the general market on traditional network broadcast TV and cable. But then you might have a slightly different version that has an urgent call to action to click in it that runs as your pre-roll version of that spot. Then you might have a modified version that's focused on trucks, and that becomes the version that airs on the sports platforms.
Yeah.
Okay? Then you might have another version that is more visually stimulating, maybe less on the audio, more on the visuals, and the aspect ratio is changed, and it has a swiping action in it, and that's the version that you run on the social media platforms like Facebook.
Yeah.
So if you are an advertiser watching or listening to this, and you've ever asked the question, is television advertising effective anymore? The answer is yes, if you are willing to redefine what the word television means. Television is no longer defined as that thing on the wall over there. It instead now means consumers being able to consume programming however they want, whenever they want, wherever they want. TV no longer means what it used to mean. TV now means however consumers choose to consume programming. And as an advertiser, if you know that the golden rule is to make sure that your message is where the eyes and the ears are, then you need to make sure that your television marketing strategy has evolved with the times and is incorporated into all these different platforms that we just discussed, and is not resigned merely to the traditional definition of live broadcast, network, and cable.
No, TV is no longer the big rectangle on the wall. It's now also the small rectangle in your pocket.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So, is television advertising still effective? The answer is yes, if you are willing to redefine the word TV. Did you know? You probably did, but in case you didn't, now you do. It's DigiKnow, episode 2. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us here today. And again, be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes, on Google, on iHeart, on YouTube.
Hit subscribe, hit like, thumbs it up. We want to see that. We'd love to hear from you guys.
Very much appreciate it. And also follow us at Chumney Ads, at Paul M. Harvey 14. It's DigiKnow. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.